Mother, they tell me letters from this facility don't actually reach home. Something about security protocols. I'm writing anyway because my cellmate used to say humans do pointless things when they're trying to make sense of the senseless. His name was Elias Varek. I need you to know that name. In my last transmission, the one before they seized our ship, I told you the humans were efficient jailers. Clinical. That much was true. What I didn't tell you, what I didn't understand yet, was that efficiency can wear a kind face. Elias brought me extra blankets the first night. Not the standard issue thermal sheet. Actual cotton, the kind with frayed edges that smelled faintly of lavender detergent. He didn't make eye contact when he handed it through the slot. Just said, "Gets cold on this side of the station after midnight." I thought it was a trick. Some psychological tactic the war colleges taught them. I folded the blanket into a square and sat on the floor, shivering on purpose, refusing to use it. He came back 3 hours later. Knocked twice, 2 knuckles, not the open palm slam the other guards used. "You okay in there?" I didn't answer. He stood outside my door for maybe 90 seconds. I could see his shadow under the gap, see the scuff marks on his boots, where the black polish had worn through to gray canvas underneath. Then he left. The blanket stayed folded for 6 days. You remember when Father died, how Grandmother wouldn't let anyone move his chair from the kitchen table for an entire season. How she'd set a cup of water there every morning, even though no one would drink it. I didn't understand that then. I was young, and grief felt like something you were supposed to finish, like homework. Elias taught me different. It started small. He'd pause outside my cell during rounds and ask if I needed anything. Not the required verbal check prisoner functional, but actual questions. Did the lights bother me? Whether the nutrient paste tasted like engine grease to my species too, or if that was just him. 3 weeks in, he brought me a book. Old paper kind, spine cracked, pages dog-eared at intervals that suggested someone had read it more than once. "Thought you might be bored," he said. Wouldn't look at me still. Kept his eyes on the floor sensor by the door. It was poetry. Human poetry, translated into serviceable galactic standard. I read it because there wasn't anything else to do. One poem had a corner folded down, so many times the paper had gone soft. About a mother braiding her daughter's hair the morning before the daughter left for war. How the mother's fingers remembered the pattern even after her daughter never came home. How she'd braid the air sometimes, sitting in her daughter's empty room, because muscle memory outlives hope. There was a thumbprint in the margin, faded but still visible. I held my claw up to it. His thumb was bigger. The station alert went off on day 58. Hull breach, section 12. That was the human civilian wing, families of the guards, support staff, a small school. The emergency seal came down across my block. Standard procedure. Prisoners locked in, guards evacuated to safe zones. I heard the magnetic bolts slide home. Heard the ventilation system shift to emergency recycling. Heard Elias's boots running past my door, running toward section 12. He came back 4 hours later. I only knew because I heard him in the corridor talking to another guard in that low voice humans use when they're trying not to break. "How many?" the other guard asked. 6 confirmed. 8 still, his voice cracked like old wood splitting. She was in the purple classroom, the one with the paper flowers on the windows. The other guard said something I couldn't hear. Then silence. Then a sound I'd never heard Elias make, this awful animal noise, like something being torn out from the inside. He sat outside my door for 3 hours. I know because I counted his breaths. They came wrong, jagged and too fast, then too slow, then fast again like his body couldn't remember the pattern. He still brought me blankets, still knocked twice before the morning check. Still asked questions like my answers mattered. But his hand shook now when he held the data pad. He'd lost weight. I could tell from how his uniform bunched differently at the shoulders. There were new lines around his eyes, the kind that come from crying when you think no one can hear. One morning, he set my breakfast through the slot and said, her name was Piper. She was 8. She liked to draw birds even though she'd never seen a real one. Just pictures from the database. I didn't know what to say. What does a prisoner say to the grief of her jailer? He kept talking. She'd bring me her drawings. Ask me which ones were accurate. I'd tell her they were all perfect. His hand was still on the meal tray. I should have told her the wings were wrong. She always drew them too big, like kites. I put my claw over his hand. Just for a second. His skin was warm, rougher than I expected, with a callus along the thumb from where he held his patrol baton. He didn't pull away. The rescue ship arrived yesterday. Our people won some skirmish, negotiated our release. Elias processed my discharge papers himself. His hand still shook. He still wouldn't look at me directly. When he unlocked my cell for the last time, he handed me something wrapped in cloth, the poetry book. Keep it, he said. I've got it memorized anyway. I wanted to tell him I was sorry, for Piper, for the purple classroom, for the fact that kindness doesn't stop just because the world breaks your heart in half. That I'd learned something about grief from watching him carry his. That muscle memory outlives hope, but sometimes that's all we get to keep. I didn't say any of it, I just took the book. Mother, when they ask you what humans are like, tell them this. They're the species that brings you blankets even after you've given them every reason not to. Even after their world ends. Even when it costs them everything. Tell them Elias Varek's name. Your daughter. Iria.